Exposed, my parents' shocking humiliation on a 75-inch screen. Grandma revealed the hidden truth. Ryan adjusted the sleek remote with trembling fingers, his heart racing as he eyed the 75-inch screen that now dominated his living room. This movie night was supposed to be a breakthrough, a chance to step out from the shadows of his siblings' dazzling lives. His sister, Dr. Hannah Cole, revered in her field, and his brother, Matt, who had turned an idea into a lucrative startup. The weight of their successes felt suffocating, often leaving him to wonder if he was a misfit even among his own kin. With every year spent locked away in the lab, chasing the promise of new treatments, Ryan felt more like an outsider, desperately seeking validation that never came. As the lights dimmed and the opening credits rolled, the rich scent of freshly popped popcorn surrounded him, a feeble comfort against his swirling dread. His parents sank into their seats, exchanging glances shot with familiar skepticism. The film began to reveal long-forgotten family stories, images of their ancestors battling poverty and hardship. Laughter quickly morphed into an eerie silence as Ryan's stomach knotted tightly. He saw the shadows of struggle laid bare, history they'd long ignored for the sake of class and respectability. Then, Grandma leaned over to him, her voice a low whisper that cut through him like glass. "You don't know the half of it," she said, the weight of her words threatening to crush him. What didn't he know? Confusion turned into anger, boiling beneath his skin. Did his parents bury their roots so deep that they choked on the very soil from where they'd come? He felt a swell of resentment rise up. Why should they judge anyone for their struggle when they had so carefully crafted their present image? Ryan felt stuck in a paradox. He was doing important work, striving for breakthroughs that could impact lives in ways his siblings' successes never could, but he was still the one standing in the corner, invisible. As the film portrayed their family's authenticity, showing resilience through adversity, the concept of success twisted in his mind. His parents had chosen to hide behind their achievements rather than acknowledge the foundation of grit beneath them. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with a surge of intensity. He lost his nerve. Ryan stood abruptly, confronting his parents, emotion spilling out in quick breaths. "How can you look down on where you came from?" he questioned, voice strained. "You've forgotten the very values that made us who we are." The tension was palpable, thick with the seeds of confrontation. The inquisitive glances shared with Grandma faded into uncertainty as Ryan's heart thudded violently in his chest. Silence swept across the room, a heavy cloak smothering any lingering thoughts. Ryan was left grappling with the thoughts that unspoolled in chaotic disarray. His identity line was frayed, the questions hanging. Would this confrontation crack their facade, or would it build an insurmountable wall between them? His future felt treacherously unpredictable, the safety of ignorance shaking beneath the weight of inconvenient truths. As his life and family's legacy stood before him, all he could see was a cliff waiting for him to leap into abyss, the ways ahead uncertain, and the bonds hanging by a thread of confrontation yet to break. Would he find a path that could reshape them all, or would this be where everything shattered? Ryan felt the weight of the silence settle over him like a thick fog, wrapping around his limbs and making it hard to breathe. His heart drummed wildly in his chest as he dared not look away from his parents' expressions. The picture of disapproval mixed with confusion clouded their faces. "What are you talking about, Ryan?" His mother finally broke the silence, her voice a strained whisper that echoed through the room. "We don't look down on anyone," but the words felt hollow, disconnected from the truth captured on the screen. The film continued flowing, showing them with their childhood friends, some of whom had never made it out from under their struggles. The rawness of it gnawed at Ryan. It was as if a piece of his soul was being paraded before a jury. "And yet, here we are," he pressed, daring to challenge the narrative that had been crafted around their lives. "You act like success is just a clean slate." "It's not, Mom. Our past isn't something to hide from. It's our strength." His siblings shifted uneasily, eyes darting between the screen and Ryan, unsure whether they wanted to support or contain an angry outburst. Matt leaned forward, brow knit tightly. "Dude, chill. It's family history. No one's judging anyone here." "Is that so?" Ryan shot back, the flames of frustration igniting his thoughts. "How many times have you both looked at my work with disdain? Do you even see how vital research is?" Tension crackled in the air. The evening threatened to spiral into chaos, and yet, there was a part of Ryan that relished the confrontation. Maybe it was the pent-up frustration that he had carried for so long, or perhaps it was the exhilarating spark of finally being heard. The complex tapestry of his identity unfurled in his mind. He was not just a failed sibling but a scientist, a seeker of truth. "You want validation?" His father finally chimed in sharply, his tone laced with a mixture of hurt and anger. "Why can't you see how hard we worked to get here? We're proud of you, but you choose to isolate yourself." Ryan didn't flinch at the accusation, instead, clarity surged through him. "I choose to isolate myself because I'm afraid of standing in front of you, afraid it will not be enough." His voice cracked, emotions spilling over at last. "But I'm tired of tiptoeing around your expectations. I'm tired of pretending my work isn't as significant as your titles." A moment of stillness followed as Ryan's words sank deep into the heavy atmosphere. He felt the intensity of his convictions settle into the crevices of the silence, rippling outward. "I'm going to make a choice," he said, steadying his breath as determination filled his chest. "It's time I own my path, regardless of how you feel about it. I want to simply be the brother who is invisible. I'm stepping forward into my own skin, into my own life." With that proclamation, his mind began racing with possibilities. What if he could truly forge connections outside the confines of familial approval? It was daunting, yes, perhaps even terrifying, but the prospect of self-acceptance glimmered like a beacon in the distance. But just as the idea of embracing his identity began to take root, another thought struck him. If he chose this path, would he be risking more than the certainty of family bonds? Would stepping away from their shadow sever the only links that kept him attached to them? Suddenly, as if summoned by his tumultuous inner dialogue, Grandma's piercing gaze met his, her eyes glittering with understanding. "Ryan," she said slowly, a knowing smile creeping onto her lips, "there's so much more to the story." Ryan felt an electric charge between them, a signal that another revelation was poised to dawn. In that moment, he realized he was standing on the precipice of something monumental, teetering at the edge where past and future collided. The next chapter beckoned a deeper dive into the family legacy that had been hinted at but never unveiled. What secrets could reshape their understanding of themselves? What truths did Grandma still hold close to her heart? Ryan felt the tension in the room expand, the air thick with unspoken words, as everyone awaited Grandma's insight. The knowing smile she wore contrasted sharply with the furrowed brows encircling him. He could sense his family holding their breath, each of them caught in a moment that felt timeless yet precarious. "What do you mean, Grandma? What more is there to know?" he pressed, unable to contain the urgency thrumming in his veins. Her gaze softened, and she gestured for everyone to sit down. As they settled, an unexpected weight enveloped the atmosphere, shifting from confrontation to curiosity. Ryan leaned in, heart racing, desperately seeking a truth that could shatter the barriers that had long limited his identity. "Family is often tangled in mysteries, dear," she began, her voice a gentle melody that cut through the stillness. "You've always been curious, always wanting to uncover layers that many pretend don't exist. It's a quality that can serve you well in life and in your work as a scientist." Ryan felt a flicker of pride at her acknowledgement but quickly pushed it aside, focused on what lay ahead. "But what about our past?" "What did you mean?" Grandma inhaled deeply, her breath bridging generations. "Your mother and I may have shielded you from some of our history, believing it was for your own good. But it's time you understood the struggles that shaped us, that shaped your parents," she stated firmly, her eyes glistening. "Like what?" he asked, fear and anticipation swirling within him. He could feel the walls of his family's narrative beginning to crack, allowing rushes of untold stories to seep through. There were hardships before the successes, she confessed, her voice steady, albeit tinged with vulnerability. Your father faced more challenges than you know, and your mother's resilience came from a place of survival. I kept the stories tucked away, thinking they were burdens. Ryan's thoughts surged with new energy, eager to unearth the truths buried under layers of family pride. But keeping it hidden seems to only perpetuate the divide, he countered, feeling emboldened. Why didn't anyone ever share our true history? A heaviness returned, marking the divides in the room clearly. Fear, perhaps. Fear of how those stories might reflect on us now, she murmured, glancing at his parents. But your journey is unique. It's not rooted in their paths but in your own. That's what you need to embrace. A pang of realization struck deep within him, a budding understanding that they were all more interconnected than he thought. As Grandma continued discussing their family's past, detailing their struggles, Ryan felt every word resonate inside him, each detail shaping and reshaping his concept of family legacy. Ryan, Grandma asked gently, what do you want to do with this information? What are you willing to embrace in yourself? Taking a steadying breath, Ryan felt the weight of the question settle over him. He wasn't merely processing his family's history, he was finding reflections of his own struggles. I want to honor our history by using it, not hiding from it. I want to transform my fear into motivation. He could see a flicker of approval in Grandma's eyes, igniting a fierce determination within him. Then the first step in embracing your journey is to redefine what success looks like for you. It's not about titles, it's about courage, honesty, and living your truth. The idea surged through him, a wave of clarity that washed over the uncertainties that had clouded his thoughts. He could make this a rallying point, not just for himself but for his family, carving a new narrative rooted in authenticity. As the conversation shifted around the room, Ryan felt his convictions deepening, solidifying the promise he made to himself earlier. But with each revelation, an undercurrent of anxiety crept in. He realized that uncovering his family's past would only deepen the challenges he faced, an echo of the risk he had considered when he first contemplated breaking away. What if this path led to more family fractures instead of mending? As his thoughts spiraled, he glanced at his parents, whose faces now softened with understanding but still tinged with wariness. The path ahead loomed, laden with potential yet bound to the complexities of love and loyalty. And just as Ryan began to contemplate how he could forge ahead with renewed confidence, another question clawed at the edge of his mind. What more lay beneath the surface of this family legacy, waiting to be revealed, and would he truly be ready for the consequences? The remnants of Grandma's stories hung in the air like wisps of smoke, each one igniting something ignoble within Ryan. He could feel the gravity of those shared burdens settling onto his shoulders, not as weights to drag him down but as the fabric of an emerging tapestry he was desperate to understand. Each revelation filled him with a mix of fervor and trepidation, battling for dominance as he wrestled with an unsettling promise that personal truths could divert paths as easily as they could illuminate them. His family began to disperse, the moment turning fluid as the tension faded into tentative conversation. Ryan, however, remained anchored to his chair, his mind racing with the implications of it all. To dig further into this family history would mean unraveling the firm knit of silence around him. Would he lose his parents' trust by pulling at threads that might not only reveal weakness but also the harsh shadows cast by pride? He shot a glance toward the kitchen, where his mom had begun to wash dishes, her silhouette bent in concentration. The gentle clink of the plates broke through his whirlwind of thoughts, and he questioned the family dynamic anew. Had their reluctance to discuss the past been as much about protecting him as it was about shielding themselves from their former selves? The flicker of light from the stove warmed the room, but the chill of uncertainty sank deeper into Ryan's chest. He had always sought to illuminate the intricacies of life through science, a discipline he believed should yield order from chaos. But the landscape of family storytelling seemed fraught with unpredictable variables, emotions, misinterpretations, and notably, the ghosts of failures long buried. "Now's your time, Ryan," he muttered under his breath, tightening his fists. His grandma's words glimmered in his mind with iridescent potential. His identity could be reclaimed, reshaped, and emboldened by the knowledge of where he came from. Yet, that very knowledge could also dismantle relationships he had taken for granted. Gathering confidence, he walked into the kitchen. "Mom," he started, feeling a ripple of apprehension surging through him, "can we talk?" Her brow furrowed, a momentary surprise flickering across her face. "What's on your mind?" "What Grandma said about our past." The weight of those words pressed upon his tongue. "I think I need to understand it better. We can't have that many unanswered questions." The slightest tension formed in her shoulders, but she nodded slowly. "Ryan, there are things I just don't know if you're ready for." "Ready or not, I deserve to know," he urged, catching how the corner of her mouth twitched downward. "It feels like I'm carrying the family history without ever knowing what it actually means. I can't live in that limbo anymore." Her silence stretched between them, various emotions flitting across her face: fear, love, concern, but finally, she exhaled deeply. "Okay, but you have to promise that you'll be open to what you'll find." Instinctively, he leaned closer. "I promise. No matter what it is. I want to embrace it all." As they began sifting through long-stored memories, with each story revealing deeper layers of resilience and peril, Ryan's pulse quickened. He found himself at the nexus of discovery, feeling not only the weight of his family's history but the stirrings of his own purpose. He was no longer just the curious observer, he was a participant in this intricate narrative. Yet, every new revelation felt like a step deeper into a labyrinth fraught with emotional traps. Would the truths uncovered fortify his understanding, or would they splinter the fragile bonds he held with his family? There was so much left to explore, and he had no idea where this path would lead. The moment hung thick with suspense, and he realized he was just beginning to grapple with the complexities of his legacy. The impact of what lay beneath was yet to unfold, and with each truth unearthed, Ryan sensed the essence of his own journey could change forever. Tension settled back over him. What had he just agreed to? It dawned on him that uncovering their vulnerabilities meant confronting his own. Just as he felt stillness flow with his determination, a new hollowness echoed in his chest. What deeper truths existed within his own heart, yet unexamined, which might one day mirror the stories he was about to uncover? Ryan and his mother began to navigate the archives of the past, a labyrinth woven from memories and emotions that felt both familiar and foreign. The air around them thickened as they pulled out old photo albums and boxes filled with trinkets, remnants of lives lived and stories shared. Each item was a time capsule, whispering secrets and sparking curiosity. As his fingers brushed over a worn leather-bound journal belonging to his grandmother, a chill raced down Ryan's spine. He hadn't realized the extent of his own ignorance, the knowledge sitting on a shelf just out of reach. "What are we looking for, exactly?" he asked, his voice just above a whisper, the weight of the question hanging in the air. "Just the truth," his mother replied, a tremor in her tone that didn't escape him. It was a small word masked by seismic implications. She looked away, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of the journal. "It's complicated, Ryan. Complicated things don't always lead to easy answers. Complicated things often lead to important ones, though," he pressed, the resolve in him hardening like steel. Each minute brought a surge of courage, igniting a newfound determination. He had started this journey for clarity, but curiosity was morphing into an obsession to fully decipher the truth of his lineage. Their surroundings faded as he focused on the task ahead. He flipped the journal open, scanning the elegant cursive that told stories of love, loss, and determination. The more he read, the more he realized that his family's legacy was not marked by simple victories but by fierce struggles that had shaped their very identities. A tissue of hardship was interwoven with the pride they wore like armor. "Mom, listen to this," he called out, excitement and alarm battling within him. He read aloud a passage that described a family crisis from decades past, a feud that had fractured bonds and echoed through generations. "This is raw. This is real. Why didn't we talk about this before?" "Because sometimes it's easier to forget," she admitted, her voice barely more than a murmur, the weight of unexamined pain encased in her words. Despite the dismissal of her earlier caution, her body language spoke volumes, tying her to memories she might rather leave buried. What else is in here? Ryan's voice sharpened, honed by urgency. What else have we overlooked? As they continued through the journal, he was struck by a profound realization. Each revelation wasn't just a tale of the past, they were echoes of his own life, roots anchoring him to this very moment. He recognized how those relentless struggles had silently flavored his upbringing. In a sudden rush, he understood that the complexity he feared was not just in the stories but in himself. "Mom, I've been running away from this knowledge, thinking it would unsettle things only to find it could be the very foundation I build upon." Her gaze met his, sparking an unspoken acknowledgement of their shared vulnerability. The reflection in her eyes urged him forward, to not only accept the truth but also embrace it. It dawned on him that as he peered into the patterns of his family's history, he was also confronting the very essence of his own identity, the multidimensionality that defined who he was. Yet unease lingered in the corners of the room. What would their family dynamics look like once the truth spilled out completely? As they delved deeper, hints of resentment and latent guilt began to bubble to the surface. Ryan's heart thumped violently, caught between exhilaration and fear. Would unraveling their complicated legacy only weave new threads of tension into their family story? The potential for heartbreak loomed large, each revelation like a double-edged sword poised to cut through the fragile ties that bound them together. With every turn of the page, critical choices stood before him, compelling him to weigh the value of truth against the risk of fracture. The stories of his family's past demanded to be heard, but at what cost? Just as Ryan prepared to share the most fraught truths he had unearthed, a sudden clatter from the kitchen disrupted the moment. His stomach dropped. Had his father overheard their exploration? Was the time growing ripe for confrontation? The air, thick with confessions and unspoken fears, seemed to hold its breath. What was once a quest for knowledge now morphed into a crossroad, and Ryan realized this journey could lead to profound personal change or to an unanticipated fallout that might fracture everything he held dear. What would he choose to confront when faced with the uncomfortable realities yet to be revealed? The next pivotal moment loomed ominously ahead. Ryan's heart raced, an echo of uncertainty reverberating through his chest. The clatter from the kitchen had shattered the fragile stillness, the weight of ancestral secrets pressing down on him like a daunting storm cloud. He noticed his mother's expression transform, her brows knitting together in a frown as her body tensed, almost instinctively bracing for impact. "What was that?" she asked, her voice a strained whisper, a reflection of the anxiety that consumed them both. I don't know," Ryan stammered, the journal still open in his hands, its pages trembling with unuttered truths. Was his father really eavesdropping? Would he confront them now, while emotions hung thick in the air? Every sinew in Ryan's body tightened against the possibility of an uncomfortable confrontation. A steady breath failed to calm the chaos within. "We can't stop now," he murmured, the determination sparking in him again despite the tremors of fear. He was on the precipice of knowledge, and it beckoned to him like a siren. With deliberate care, he returned his focus to the journal. A part of him wanted to shield his mother from what lay ahead, but another felt a wild hunger gnawing at him, the need to break free from the chains of ignorance. His eyes skimmed the elegant handwriting, running over words that had long lain dormant. He zeroed in on another passage, the ink painstakingly revealing an affair that had transpired decades earlier, buried under layers of remorse. "Here, Mom," he said, the intensity of the disclosure prickling his skin. "This could tell us so much about everything." Tears shimmered at the corners of her eyes. "Can we really face this, Ryan? Do we even want to know?" "Of course we want to know," he insisted, frustration lacing his tone. "What good is it to leave our past in shadows? It'll shape us regardless." The moment paused, suspended in time as they both sensed the enormity of where they stood at the cusp of revelation. Perhaps they had tiptoed around questions for too long, accepting glossed-over versions of their lineage. He felt the mounting need to be thorough in his quest for understanding, propelled by the knowledge that embracing the entire truth would forge an even clearer path to his future. After a beat, Ryan turned to face her fully, urgency coloring his voice. "Let us write our own ending to this story. We're not victims of the past, we can choose how we react to it. His eyes shone with determination, reflecting the depths of his internal conflict. Would facing their family's complicated history liberate them or further entangle their lives? In that moment, Ryan embraced the uncertainty, recognizing it as part of the journey. He felt a flicker of strength coursing through him. Perhaps this unknown challenged him to grow into someone more resolute, more honest. Just as he prepared to venture deeper into the journal, the sharp sound of footsteps drew closer, resonating through the kitchen, almost like an impending reckoning. The tension mounted, each moment stretching taut as they waited, hearts pounding in sync. Without warning, his father entered the room, his expression inscrutable. The air thickened with unspoken words, and Ryan understood that this confrontation was inevitable. All the learning, the vulnerability they had embraced, now stood on the edge of a precipice, and so did their family ties. "Ryan, what's going on in here?" His father's voice broke through, laden with authority, yet tinged with an edge of concern. The moment slid from quiet introspection to a demanding confrontation, shifting as Ryan felt the weight of choices pressing against him. Would he unravel the complexities of his lineage here and now? The possibilities of truth pressed against him like a tidal wave, and despite the uncertainty, he was ready to face it, ready to stand firm. "Dad, we're uncovering things about Grandma's past," Ryan began, a renewed clarity in his voice set against the rising tension. "Things that matter." His father's expression shifted, questions flickering across his face. Was this a rupture or an opportunity to heal? The room held its breath, teetering between the fractures of the past and the potential for unity in the future. Ryan braced himself, the next stage of this odyssey unfurling before him, uncertain yet profoundly necessary. The air was thick with possibility, echoing the question that would determine their legacy: were they ready to embrace the truth, no matter the cost? Ryan felt the gravity of his father's gaze bore down on him, a mixture of authority and vulnerability painted across the older man's features. This was it. The moment he had anticipated, when the truth would unfurl, shedding light on their tangled past but perhaps also casting long shadows over the present. "Things that matter," his father repeated, voice steady yet laced with an underlying tremor. "What things? What do you mean?" Ryan swallowed hard, the words catching in his throat. He knew he could either retreat to the safety of ambiguity or shed the cloak of unknowing. He chose clarity. "It's about Grandma's past. About her affair, and how it impacted everything. You need to hear this." A flicker of pain crossed his father's eyes. The journal, heavy with secrets, felt impossibly lighter in his hands. He sensed the weight of generational burdens shifting, but would it be a shift of burden or a release from it? "You think I don't know?" His father's voice rose slightly, betraying a depth of emotion that struck Ryan squarely in the chest. "You think your grandmother's affair is news to me?" A flash of anger surged in Ryan, but it was quickly tempered by understanding. His father had lived with this truth, likely wrestling with its implications far longer than he had. Then why didn't you ever talk about it? Why let it loom over us like a ghost? The air thickened with tension. Each moment stretched, revealing the pain embedded in family walls. Ryan's determination surged in the face of his father's discomfort. "We need to confront this. If we don't, it will haunt us forever." His father glanced away, wrestling with something unseen. Ryan could see the internal battle etched in the sweat on his brow, the clenched fists at his sides. Another story lurked beneath the surface, and Ryan wondered what it would take to bring it to light. "I wish it were that easy," his father finally said, voice low. "There are pieces of this puzzle you don't know. There are things I've kept hidden, to protect you both." A knot formed in Ryan's stomach. The thought that further revelations lurked like lurking shadows ignited a fire in him. Then let us bring those pieces into the open. Let us gain control over this narrative together. Silence enveloped the room, each second stretching into infinity until Ryan's mother spoke softly, her voice steadier than before. "If we're going to do this, we have to be honest with ourselves. No more protecting anyone." Ryan nodded, bolstered by her words. "Exactly. If our family is going to heal, we need to dismantle old secrets piece by piece. What kind of legacy do we want to leave? Visibly shaken, his father took a deep breath, the weight of layered truths resting heavily on his shoulders. I never thought you would want to dig deeper. Most people prefer comfort to chaos. Maybe that's what has kept us from moving forward, Ryan replied, finding his footing, his voice resolute. When we dig deeper, we can finally find ourselves. The depth of their discussion shifted dynamics, igniting a collective courage. With a new sense of purpose, Ryan opened the journal to another passage, the elegant handwriting revealing yet another fragment of their family's hidden story. His fingers trembled as he traced the letters, knowing every word had the potential to unravel, reconnect, or redefine their understanding of one another, each disclosure a thread binding the fabric of their family ties tighter or tearing them apart. Just then, a sudden crash sounded from the kitchen, causing all three to jump. As they turned toward the noise, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that more truths lurked just beyond their reach, and they were about to uncover something neither of them could anticipate. Stay here, he said, gripping the journal tightly. I'll check it out. With each slow, deliberate step toward the kitchen, Ryan prepared his mind for the new revelations that awaited. What truths would emerge next, and how would they reshape everything he thought he knew? As Ryan approached the kitchen, the echoes of his family's fraught conversation lingered like a restless specter. Each step felt heavy with anticipation, his heart racing as he steeled himself for whatever confrontation awaited him. The sharp metallic scent of fear mingled with the comforting aroma of simmering spices, a juxtaposition that heightened his awareness. Stepping through the threshold, Ryan's gaze darted to the floor where a ceramic plate lay shattered, shards glinting dangerously like tiny pieces of a fractured story. His mother stood at the counter, visibly shaken, as she leaned heavily against the edge, her hands gripping the countertop like a lifeline. His father was already there, kneeling by the debris, his expression carved with a mix of tension and regret. Are you okay? Ryan's voice was low yet urgent, trying to penetrate the chaotic atmosphere. His mother took a moment to compose herself before responding, her gaze settling on the floor. I'm so tired, Ryan. All these pieces, they're overwhelming. He understood. It was not just a plate that had broken, it was their family's notion of permanence. Each secret was a risk, each revelation threatening to shatter the fragile stability they had anchored themselves to for so long. But could it be broken open, just like the plate? Ryan knelt down, instinctively gathering the shards and placing them gently into a dustpan. We can rebuild, you know, he said quietly, his focus on the pieces in his hands. But it requires honesty. What's more dangerous is ignoring the truth. His father looked up, eyes reflecting a mix of pride and exasperation. You have a way of turning moments into lessons, don't you? It's the only way I know how, Ryan answered. The act of collecting the shards became not just a necessity but a metaphor for his family's current plight. Patching up what had been broken, finding a way to piece together something stronger. They stood together in silence, a truce forming in this moment of vulnerability. Ryan felt a sense of empowerment swell within him. He was ready to confront the pain, ready to excavate the hidden stories. But he realized that alongside this conviction was a daunting responsibility. He needed to be a catalyst for change without being consumed by the weight of their shared history. With newfound determination, Ryan turned his attention back to the journal after cleaning the remnants of the shattered plate. Let us keep going, he suggested, glancing at his parents, hoping they would sense the urgency of this endeavor. We need to dig deeper, follow the threads that connect us no matter how uncomfortable they are. His father nodded, and for the first time, there was a glint of hope threaded through the storm of emotions. All right. Let us go to the beginning. We've danced around this for too long, he conceded, his voice steadying as he readied himself for the task ahead. Ryan opened the journal once again, his heart pounding as he prepared to unravel the next layer of their family's intricate tapestry. The old pages crinkled softly, whispering secrets that had long been buried. He felt the power in his hands, recognizing that this was not just their family history but a pivotal moment in his own life. Before reading aloud, he hesitated, suddenly aware that each word could unleash a tidal wave of revelations. Would they be ready? Would he be? Remember, he said, his voice just above a whisper, we can't shy away from anything. His parents exchanged glances, a mixture of fear and determination passing between them. The tension in the room surged, a dynamic interplay of the past wrestling with the present. Just as he began to read, the kitchen door swung open with a creak, and Ryan's heart sank. An unexpected visitor, drenched in secrets of their own, had arrived, someone from the past who could tip the balance of their discussions forever. Is this a family meeting? The figure asked, a hint of mischief glinting in their eyes. Who are you? Ryan questioned, feeling the walls of understanding begin to close in on him. The dynamics were shifting yet again, and he sensed a new labyrinth of revelations awaited. Ryan's pulse quickened as the figure stepped into the room, an unsettling familiarity clinging to them like an unwelcome shadow. The woman, a striking presence with deep-set eyes that hinted at countless untold stories, was a ghost from a past he thought he had left behind. The air thickened with unspoken tension, and Ryan could sense the shift in his parents' demeanor. The protective barriers they had constructed over the years were threatening to crumble. Claire, Ryan murmured, bewildered. They had spent countless summer afternoons playing in the sun-drenched yard, blissfully unaware of the complexities that would later surface between their families. Her sudden appearance felt like an interruption, but he also recognized it as an opportunity, a catalyst that could propel their long-overdue conversation. Claire's smile was enigmatic, as if she held the keys to mysteries his family had skirted around for far too long. I didn't mean to intrude, but I heard you all were digging into some family history. Thought I'd lend a hand. Her tone danced between sincerity and a teasing familiarity that made Ryan's skin prickle. History, or secrets? His father retorted, adjusting his posture, rigidity creeping in. Their protective instinct flared up like a warning light, a reminder of the unresolved issues that had come to define their relationships. Secrets are just stories waiting to be told, Claire countered, her gaze flickering between Ryan and his parents. Everyone has them. The important part is figuring out how to tell them without the world collapsing around you. Ryan felt a rush of adrenaline. Claire's presence could be a game changer. She was entangled in the very fabric of their history. Her voice unleashed dormant memories, and he momentarily found himself analyzing her words not just for their content but for the weight they carried. He resolved to control the narrative. We're ready for honesty, he declared, surprising even himself. If you're here to help unravel it, then let us start. His parents exchanged cautious glances, their expressions clouded by uncertainty. But there was an undercurrent of hope rippling through the tension. Ryan recognized the potential for healing ingrained in his declaration. Confrontation alone wouldn't suffice, they needed to engage with their narrative, even when the truths might prove unsettling. All right then, Claire said, crossing her arms as she leaned against the doorframe. Let us rewrite the story. It was a proposition laden with risks and opportunities, and Ryan felt a flicker of gratitude that she had chosen this moment to reappear. Ryan turned back to the journal, gathering his thoughts. They were about to dive into the abyss of their family's history, a place where they could retrieve unfinished stories that had the power to reshape their present. He felt a burgeoning responsibility, knowing he could shift the dynamics for himself, his parents, and perhaps even Claire. As he flipped the pages, the fragile sheets crackling beneath his fingertips, he summoned the courage to push through the discomfort that rose like bile in his throat. Each revelation felt like a puzzle piece that could either fit neatly into place or upend everything they thought they understood about each other. Ready? He asked, his voice steady, though inside, he grappled with anticipation and dread. Would the truths they uncovered be liberating or destructive? But just as he was about to dive into the first passage, Claire leaned forward. Wait, she interjected. Before you start, there is something you should know, something I should have told you a long time ago. Ryan felt his heart skip, a surge of urgency propelling him forward. He understood, in that moment, that the story they were about to reclaim wouldn't just unravel old threads. It might radically redefine who they were as a family and as individuals. Tell me, he urged, gripping the journal tightly, ready to confront whatever was concealed beneath the surface. The future of their familial tapestry rested precariously on Claire's next words, and he couldn't help but wonder if they were about to unveil truths more shocking than anything they had imagined. As Claire's voice trembled with uncertainty, Ryan felt an electric current race through him. The room quieted, even the noise of the kitchen faded into the background. "It's about your grandmother," she began, her gaze flickering to his parents, whose faces bore signs of aging vulnerability. "There are pieces of her story that connect us all, pieces I've held on to and never shared, thinking it would protect you all." Ryan leaned closer, intrigued yet apprehensive. Could what Claire possessed potentially fill the gaps in their family's narrative? The weight of unsaid truths seemed to thicken the air around them, thick with trepidation. "She was a remarkable woman," Claire continued, steadying her breath. "But much of what you see now, your family's pride and success, comes from the choices born out of pain and secrecy. Her affair wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was born from desperation, from a past that sought to unearth itself but never had the chance." Ryan's heart raced. It was as if someone had yanked away the veil. The pieces of the puzzle he sought, ones that connected him to his family history, were laid bare before him. "What do you mean?" he pressed, his voice barely above a whisper. Claire straightened, adjusting her stance with the conviction now resonating within her. "Your grandmother was abandoned as a child and carried the scars of her family's legacy with her. When she found love, and later disappointment, those experiences shaped her decisions. I often heard her talk to my mother, sharing pieces of her life when she assumed I wasn't listening. She never believed she was worthy of happiness." Facing his parents, Ryan sensed the deep history underlying their family's silent suffering. The air crackled with revelation, knitting all the unspoken pieces together into a single, coherent tapestry. "Do you see?" He turned to his father and mother. "This isn't merely about our past. It's how pain shapes who we are today and how we can choose to move beyond it." His father sighed, the dam of restrained emotion cracking under the pressure of Ryan's words. "It explains so much," he murmured, his stoic facade faltering. "We thought silence provided protection. Instead, it only nurtured isolation while leaving unhealed wounds." Ryan could feel the techniques of confrontation melting away, replaced with a shared understanding. "Then let us change that," he asserted, ready to champion newfound openness. "Let us confront our fears and face our truths together." Claire nodded. "It's time we honor your grandmother's legacy, not through secrecy, but through recognition of her struggles." The three of them began to form a circle, the metaphorical walls of their past trembling but resolutely standing. Ryan opened the journal, determined to uncover more, but the fear that had once stifled him was now slammed shut, chased away by a piercing ray of clarity. He read passages beckoning the past to step into the light, unfolding tales of resilience under adversity. With each word, he saw visions of family struggles, of sacrifices made in obscurity and dreams deferred. And as stories spread out on the living room floor, the air cleared, revealing possibilities they had never dared to explore. As he resolved to tackle each new enigma, Ryan sensed the timidity of unresolved history recede. The weight of each truth, once burdening them, transformed into an alliance of understanding. They were bound by mistakes and triumphs alike, a legacy he would define, not run from. The energy surged with the momentum of transformation, strength coursing through their veins. Ryan's voice became more assured. "Let us create a new chapter. One that doesn't hide from failures but draws strength from them." His mother nodded, now visibly poised, her eyes shimmering with renewed focus. "We owe it to ourselves and to Grandma. No more secrets." "Agreed," his father echoed, the sharpness in his voice softened. "Let us share our knowledge, confront our truths openly so the past can ultimately inform our future." Then Ryan turned to Claire, gratitude and determination coiling together. "Thank you for sparking this flame within us," he said, feeling a swell of connection to his family and to her. "You brought the missing pieces to light, and we will forge ahead, as a family." As they delved deeper into the stories outlined in the journal, the weight each of them had carried alone began to dissipate, replaced by a bond fortified in authenticity. They realized that uncovering deeply buried familial truths liberated them, allowing for empowerment rather than entrapment. With each tale woven into their newfound collective narrative, Ryan felt not only a sense of belonging but a profound personal transformation take shape. Gone was the invisible brother, standing before them was a man fortified with knowledge, unafraid to confront shadows. Each layer of understanding had fortified his confidence, changing the course of his existence and rekindling relationships that could thrive in transparency. As the conversation ebbed and flowed, Ryan's heart swelled with satisfaction. He had achieved recognition not only from his parents but, significantly, from himself. He was destined to reshape how they defined success, shifting the paradigm from mere achievement to genuine connection. His journey had just begun, but the course was now illuminated by the truths they had all once feared to embrace. And in that illumination, their legacy became an empowering narrative not just of struggle, but of triumph, unity, and the beauty of shared growth. It was time for their family to heal. You need to subscribe now for more exclusive emotional stories that show true overcoming. Please, leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help others find these life-changing narratives. Comment how you felt about this conclusion, your reactions, and your theories about what's next for Ryan and his family. And don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.